All systems go. All right. Do you have one most cherished memory?
Most cherished memory?
Yeah, like a memory.
I have. And it's interesting because I've got really cherished memories with the family members, but the one that will stay with me forever, that was extremely important to me in many, many ways, and has nothing to do with the family. When I went into the hospital for my triple heart bypass 30-some years ago, I told you about a gentleman that was in my room at the time.
Right.
I was only supposed to be one, and I found out later on that he had cancer. They only gave him a couple weeks to live. And when he told me, when I asked him how long he had, and he told me, he said 4 to 6 weeks. The next, without even stopping for breath, he said, "But I'm going to live a year." And I thought, Hershberger, what are you laying in this bed feeling sorry for yourself for? And it changed my attitude. It turned my outlook around completely. Now, what finished doing that was that during that year's time, I helped him write his will. I helped him talk with 3 of his sons and get his affairs into order. He had a house at the shore that he wanted to sell, and a boat and that kind of thing. And we did all of that. Finally, one day I was visiting him. I went over about 10 o'clock in the morning to see him. He lived about 7 miles away from Kutztown. Went over about 10 o'clock in the morning to see him. And before I left, and we knew the last days were approaching, but we never talked about them. And before I left, I said, "Anybody you want to see before you die?" Oh, he said yes, matter of fact, and he named Max Fenstermacher, a Dutchman who ran a grocery store in Kutztown, and a very nice gentleman. And when I went back to town, I stopped, and Max happened to be in the store, and I asked him if he would go over and see that man. He did. At 4 o'clock that afternoon, the gentleman died. 1 year to the day that I had met him. I'll never forget it.
Do you have a happiest or proudest moment where you yourself are very proud?
Repeat that again.
Do you have a happiest or proudest moment? Where you were like, damn, yeah, that's me.
I had a number of those.
Give us one.
I'll take the one that probably stands out the most to my. There were 3 that will always stand out in my life. The first one was whenever we brought you home from the courthouse. The second one when Richard was born. The third one, which recognized all the efforts that I had made toward my thesis, and for the doctor at Penn State, was the first or second day that I was up there as a guest of the university and a visiting scholar at a faculty meeting. And I was introduced to the entire faculty as their visiting scholar for the year. And that was outstanding because it was the graduate school of the faculty recognizing the work that I had been doing and had done. And in addition to that, they told me at that time that my thesis and the statistical work that we had done with it was the #1 doctoral thesis at the university for that year. And I thought that was an honor that you just don't achieve every day of the week.
What is the most difficult thing that's ever happened to you? In carrying a private counseling load for 50-some years, I had a lot of tough, difficult moments. All right.
Now, let me use an example. I think one of the first people that I counseled was a student that I was teaching her a couple of different courses so that she would meet graduation requirements, because when I was teaching at Replogle High School in those days, if you got pregnant, you had to stop school. And she was pregnant, and she only needed a couple courses to meet graduation requirements, and I taught those to her. In the middle of a session one day, she turned to me and said, "Mr. Hershberger, I've got a question for you. I'm pregnant. What would you think, and how should I think about getting an abortion?" And I think were one of the few times in my life I was dumbfounded, because I was so far away from what we were doing, and it caught me totally unawares. And I said to her, "Well, we'll rely on your religious beliefs. You're a member of the Church of the Brethren. They do not believe in abortion. That's the first thing. And I think you're a sincere member of the Church of the Brethren." I said, in the second place, you've got 2 parents at home that will help you to raise that child. The jerk that had made her pregnant had only dated her one time, and he wasn't worth the powder to blow him up. But when Shirley and I retired and moved to Homewood, we met the young lady that she had reared, who had her own family of 2 or 3 children at that time. And Shirley asked her about herself, and she introduced herself to Shirley. And we found that that was that girl's daughter that she had that I had counseled in the 1950s. And the thing that really makes it stand out in my mind is, if I had encouraged her to have an abortion, she would probably have done it. But she would never have had the family that she had. And she was a grandmother and enjoyed it thoroughly. And her daughter had married and was raising a family. All of that scenario would never have taken place if I had said the wrong thing to her. That's only one of many, many incidents.
All right. What do you know now that you wished you would have known when you were young? Mom looked at the camera and said, "Well, I wouldn't want Obama as president." And I was like, "Well, he wouldn't have been around when you were young."
That's right.
So that doesn't answer the question.
The reason it's a good question in one sense of the word, because there are so many things that could be included with that, except that I think if I had known then what I know now, it would have taken the enjoyment out of all the years that my wife and I have spent together, and all the years that we took to raise a family, and that we worked as well.